Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to episode 145 of the Guardian Hub podcast, where we talk Destiny, interview guests, and talk about our love of the game. Your hosts, as always, are Kingsley, Mac, Cyn, and DesRaven. How are you guys doing tonight? What's new?
Not much. The usual. My multitasking, as you said before the show. This time it's a raid. And yeah, I'm going to do it off mic.
You're going to do the podcast off mic?
Yeah, well, no, I'm going to do that on mic while raiding off mic. There's a lot of on and off happening, so I hope you find that magical tonight.
We will find it magical. We'll find it normal.
Right.
Right, Des, this is normal. What's new with you?
My ankle hurts.
Oh, it's not good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
there.
I woke up and it was kind of swollen and tender to walk on. Kind of still is. That's legitimately all I know. I have no idea what happened because I just woke up one day or yesterday actually, and walking was very difficult and it hurt. I thought it was just like a old man ache essentially after waking up.
Yeah. Boomer issues.
Right. But now it like persisted through the day and kind of got worse, and it's like, okay, that's not normal. But yeah, it feels a little better today though, so I'm just kind of keeping off of it. Especially once I noticed it was swollen, just keeping off of it as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, I know what you mean kind of about not knowing why. I mean, I have a similar situation, although I did figure out why eventually, but my wrist was hurting in my left hand, and then I was like, what did I like? I don't remember like twisting it or doing anything weird. And then today I started some of my push-ups again that I've been doing. I'm like, oh, that's probably what it was from the previous day's push-ups.
Right.
So, yeah. But those things happen.
So you digress.
Oh, no, I don't digress. I am moving forward with some exciting news because we have a wonderful guest again tonight. We want to welcome a Destiny player that I've seen around in various communities here and there. A player that seems to have tons of playtime in the game, most notably because he even puts my raid stats to shame with 905 raid completions. Welcome to the show, KevinOSX. How you doing?
Great, thanks for having me.
905.
I was getting ready to say, is that like?
Does that seem right to you?
That's probably about right, but I'll be the first to admit that some of those are checkpoints.
Oh, sure. We all know that that's the dirty secret, but still, you have a lot of time in the game. Well, yeah, I want to. Thanks for coming on the show, and like I said, seeing you around in different communities, and you've been guest on Last Word podcast, and I heard a lot of similarities and interest with your technology and gaming life, and of course, you're a big fan of Destiny, so really wanted to have you on the show, and we appreciate you coming on. So let's get right at it. So, KevinOSX, tell us a little bit about your gamer tag, what that means, because not everyone may know. I mean, obviously, Kevin seems like a name. You don't have to tell us if it's your actual name or not, but tell us about your gamer tag.
Yeah, Kevin is my name. I remember one time I joked with my first Destiny clan with some of the members. Just out of the blue one time, I said, actually, my real name is Greg or something like that, and that just threw him for a loop. But no, my name is actually Kevin, and the name comes from me having to create. This is back in long past Apple computer days, the days before OS 10 came along. I had to have this. I had this name for something else, whether it be some sort of service I signed up for. And then when I started installing OS 10 on the computers that I had to come up with some other username for something. So I just made it Kevin OS 10. And then I just started using that for other things. Like when I started getting into gaming and got a PlayStation and I had to make an account, I just made that, not really thinking that it was ever something that was seen in online gaming or anything like that, because I hadn't even really thought about that, and then just kept using it because honestly, naming things is hard, and I don't know that I'd ever be able to come up with anything else.
Sure. And so you mentioned having some of those Apple computers. Tell us a little bit about your history with computers. Like, do you remember first computer, approximately what age, and kind of like a little bit of history of different computers you've gone through?
This is 1980 probably that my dad brought us home an Apple II Plus. My dad was a microelectronics engineer. We lived there in that area of California. The city that I lived in, Saratoga, is like a town over or two from Cupertino, where Apple was located. My mom and dad grew up in Mountain View, so pretty close to that area. And my dad decided, hey, I need to get my family this thing, so got us an Apple II Plus. And I remember that we had a black and white monitor and a color monitor, because at the time color monitors didn't have enough resolution to do anything with text. And so if you wanted to type something, like use it for word processing, you use the black and white monitor, because then you could actually read what you were typing. But there's some early crude color games that we'd plug in the color monitor for, and then it even had like this really big graphics tablet that you could draw with and do various things. But yeah, that was the first computer we had.
Nice. Yeah. And yeah, I have similar history, although I grew up in Southern California, but Apple was really big down there, probably from being in California. And my dad also, when we first started hearing about computers, my dad wasn't in like that line of work at all, but still hearing about personal computers. And that was a common one for people to bring home. I think our first was like a 2C or a 2E or something like that. But good memories. And now I may go back and forth a little bit with this. Gaming wise, what was your first gaming system?
The first, and I can't really remember what it is, but we had something that plugged into the TV and played Pong, whatever that was. But like the first sort of like thing that had like really real games on it, what was this console called the ColecoVision?
Oh yeah, I had one.
That we got because the company that my dad worked for was creating some of the chips that were used for the console. So like everybody that was there working on it all got one. So we had one at home, and I remember having some games and using the really weird controller that sort of looked like a big phone with like the one or 0 through 9 number pads and these buttons on the side and this weird joystick sort of thing that always broke.
Yeah, now it was like a big round knob, and I know you would like actually move it left, right, up, or down. Could you turn it too? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think so. I can't remember.
Okay,
though.
Yeah, it was so long ago now, but man, yeah, that brings back memories. Do you have any like games that come top of mind? Just good memories of playing on that.
As I was telling some people a few weeks ago, I remember there being a lot of Nintendo games on there, like a Donkey Kong game was on there, and this other weird sort of almost airplane platforming game called Looping, where you'd fly this plane and you could only fly in loops. And so if you wanted to sort of turn around and like go down to like the lower platforming level, you'd have to sort of do a loop so you could end up down at that level. And it was just sort of a weird game. And then there's all these balloons that are flying around that you'd have to shoot and pop and things. That's the only other game that I really remember playing on there.
Yeah, I remember. I think there was like a Donkey Kong game on it. And then I had like some kind of James Bond game on it. It was wild, but yeah, good memories from that. And I remember, I think I saw a friend. I was at a friend's house who had the Pong system, but that was like a little bit before our time. Of course, I'd heard of it. Just I missed that by a few years, but the ColecoVision, good memories on that for sure. Now, on the gaming side, any notable consoles going forward? Did you have any Nintendos or Segas, PlayStations, Xboxes?
So the first, I guess, of the major consoles that I had was the original Nintendo with Super Mario, Legend of Zelda, Duck Hunt. And so played that for a bit. The next console I had, I believe, was when I was in high school or right after high school. I got a Sega Genesis. I was playing like the NBA games that they had on there, and then I remember Mortal Kombat came out for that, and I played that. So I had that for a bit, and then the next console that I had after that, which I almost forgot that I had, but I was reminded of it the other day, was the Panasonic 3DO.
Oh God.
Whoa, that sounds vaguely familiar. Was that like related to that other? What was it like? TurboGrafx at all, or was that something different?
I think it was something different.
Okay.
But it sort of came out at that same era.
Yeah, because I think Neo Geo was kind of with that, yeah? No, Neo Geo was different. I'm getting, okay.
I had the Panasonic 3DO.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was the N64, because of a friend had it, and we used to like spend afternoons playing GoldenEye.
Ooh, GoldenEye.
And so that seemed like a fun game. So I bought one of those. And then, stopped sort of gaming altogether. And then probably this is maybe 8 years later, something like that, that my wife bought us a Nintendo Wii for Christmas. And so we started playing a lot of weird games on the Wii, all doing couch co-op things. And so there's like some airplane games that we'd play on there, and there was Call of Duty Modern Warfare that we'd play on there. We do multiplayer on couch. And then after that, it was the PS3. And that's probably when we really got into gaming, that we'd sort of exhausted what games that we were playing. And so we went down to our local GameStop, and we're looking at things. And the guy comes up and asks us if there's anything he can help us with. And I'm like, well, we like playing games together. Do you have any suggestions of maybe some games that we should play? He's like, oh, you might want to check out this game called Borderlands 2. And we absolutely loved that game. And we played that game from early 2012 through fall of winter 2014 nonstop. That was the only game that we played.
Oh, man.
So we played all the way through Borderlands 2 multiple times, creating all sorts of characters, doing all the content, doing all the loot grinding. And then the next one came out, Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and it just wasn't quite the same game. And so it didn't hold my interest for as long, and I was getting interested in some other things. And at that point, the PlayStation 4 had been out for a while, so I decided I went down to our local Best Buy and bought one of the Destiny white PS4s that came out in fall of 2014, and tried playing Destiny, and I was just bored to death. I don't like the game at all.
So that's how you first found out about it, was just getting that bundled with it.
Well, I mean, I bought it because I had heard about the game, because obviously there's a lot of
Sure.
people within the Borderlands communities that were starting to talk about, hey, there's this new looter game. But I tried it out and I didn't like it at all. I got really bored with it. But I wasn't really an online gamer. I didn't have anybody else to play the content with, because my wife and I always just did things on Borderlands during couch co-op. So as a solo player, I just did some things and then didn't really know what to do next, and I didn't know about other things that were going on in the game. So this was like, this is kind of boring. And then I went and played something else for 2.5 years until the Destiny 2 beta came out. And
Oh wow.
now I just play Destiny 2, and every now and then I'll start up another game and play it for a couple days.
Now, did you ever, especially once you started liking Destiny 2 more, did you ever go back to Destiny 1 and try more of the campaign or any of the raids?
I did go back and do the campaigns. I think it was the summer before Shadowkeep came out. I went back and I played some more and went through the campaigns, but I've never played any Destiny 1 PvP. I've never done a Nightfall. I've never done a raid or anything like that.
Well, if you ever want to, we actually occasionally will have PlayStation Destiny 1 raid nights.
Yeah, I only have like blue and green armor. I don't think I have any purple armor, and I have one exotic weapon to my name.
Well, Crota and Destiny 1 Vaulted Glass, probably no problems at all.
Yeah.
Kingsfall and Wrath may be a little more of an issue, but hey, it's there. It's there if you want. It's wild if you were to see Destiny 1 Vaulted Glass.
And honestly, I struggle a little bit now trying to play on a controller, since I've been playing on mouse and keyboard for the past few years.
Yeah. Okay. So Destiny 2 beta, you started playing that, and then were you kind of hooked at that point?
Totally. I'd been looking for another game for a while. I'd been playing Overwatch since its launch and was heavily into that, but I needed another game to switch to. There's some things going on with that I just needed to get away from. And so I played the beta at first, and at first I wasn't really sure that I liked the beta, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get the game when it comes out anyway. And it came out and I absolutely loved it. My wife and I would play it every week at reset. We'd go in like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'd do all the things on our characters, leveling them up and getting the powerful drops that we could and things like that. But it still wasn't maybe till like December or January or something like that after the launch that I got around to doing a raid, and I did like a guided games Nightfall. That was my first experience with a Nightfall. Back when the Nightfalls had those weird mechanics where they were timed and you had to like go through the hoops, or you had to shoot the things to extend the timer.
Jeez. There was some weapon or catalyst too that was it Acreus, or I don't remember. There was something you had to do one of the Nightfalls pretty early on. I remember that, but it doesn't matter. But so I'm always curious. You were kind of mentioning, but like, then how did you start? You did some guided games. How did you start finding other people to play with, or communities to broaden people that you play with?
Well, I had found I've been finding people to play with on the companion app on my phone. And so, yeah, I'd join things on there, and every now and then I'd get in with a good group that seemed like some nice players, and we'd add each other as friends on PlayStation. Then like the next weekend, I get a message saying, "Hey, Kevin, you want to come raid with us?" Or something like that. Or we start getting into seeing each other in some groups often enough that it's just like, oh, well, let's invite Kevin to our clan. And so my wife and I joined a clan with some of those guys, and one of those guys is still in my clan now. We still play together pretty regularly.
Oh, excellent. That's really nice to hear that you found good groups that way.
Yeah, there's I've certainly had my issues of finding people on LFG that I really didn't enjoy playing with or talking to or even being in a voice chat with. But I've also found some really good people over the years too.
Well, tell us a little bit about what drives you to play the game or what you enjoy doing most in the game.
I just like going around the solar system and shooting stuff, I guess. I don't know. It's just a fun game for me. I just like trying different things out. I don't consider myself like a great player, a top tier player or something like that, but there's just things I like doing. I like cooperative game modes where you're trying to achieve things with your teammates. So the things of nightfalls and raids always interested me with that. So if I have a good group of people to do raids with, I'll just do that every night of the week.
Yeah, I hear you. And you must have obviously experience now where you can help Sherpa other people through, and if you don't have to like,
there's lots of times where I end up being somebody that gets through some of the raid content early on within players in my clan. So a lot of times I take it on to start teaching other members of our clan the encounters so we can get more people that know them. So more of us can be playing together and be teaching others in the clan. So everybody can be having a good time.
Yeah. No, I get that.
And you mentioned not being top tier, but teaching other people, that is definitely top tier. It's always great to have people that help others out.
Yeah, for sure. And having that many clears too,
I still can't get over it.
No matter what you say, if you don't consider yourself a good player, I mean, you have the experience, you have the reps, I'm sure you know little intricacies that other people don't know.
So part of the reason probably why I have as many Leviathan clears as I do, with what I used to do after I'd get my three runs done for the week is I'd pull up the companion app and I'd look for people that were posting an LFG for needing one player at Calais, because I figured that they had got there and now they were stuck, that they had somebody leave and that they had hit a wall and now didn't know how to get past it. So I'd look for those groups to join, and I'd join in and be like, all right, what do you need me to do? And if I saw that they were struggling on some point, I'd say, hey, let's try this. And there's some people I helped get their first raid clears that way, and other people that I just met that were just like, hey, that was great. This guy joined us and he dropped out after we wiped a few times or something like that. And so it was really just that first experience I had of helping others in the community.
Yeah. Do you have like awesome memories of like people getting you your first clear, and does it build upon that kind of? I mean, I always wonder why people continue to raid. What is the drive?
I have fun with the puzzle plus combat mechanics all combined
Yeah.
thing. I think that's a fun activity to me. So things like the gauntlet encounter where you're having to do this shooting and running and combat stuff all at the same time was the sort of encounter that I always really enjoyed.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember the gauntlet. That was definitely a memorable encounter in Leviathan.
And so
Kinda
much
wish
better
it
on
was-
hard mode, right?
Oh,
That
A lot of
was
fun.
also the first encounter that I ever did, because if you remember with Leviathan, the encounters rotated every week as to which
Yeah.
one was first. And so the first time that I decided that I was going to jump into a raid, I went and looked at the companion app, found one where some guy's like, hey, need people for raid. It's okay if you're new. I joined up and I'm like, hey, I haven't done this before. So we didn't even go in the front door. We went through, the underbelly and died a few times jumping on that silly pipe and dying in the water. and then I just got, so nervous playing with them, making mistakes all over the place, shooting bottom when I was supposed to shoot the top, not knowing that when I was supposed to run through the thing that I was supposed to grab the orb and stuff like that. I made the team wipe so many times that they all left. So that was
Oh,
my first experience with a raid. And sorry, all you guys, don't remember who any of you were, but sorry I made that experience so awful that you all left. But
oh. Well, I mean,
but I learned a
interesting.
lot through that, and
Yeah.
and then found some other patient people that are out there. They're like, hey, I don't care how many clears you have. If you haven't done this before, come on in, and I'm gonna show you. And I remember one of these next guys was just like, all right, we're gonna start this out and we're gonna do the encounter. We're probably not gonna finish, but we're gonna do this encounter, and then we'll see about doing the next encounter and the next encounter. And we got through a few of them, and it was, I think, like a couple weeks or something like that before I finally found a group where we actually finished it and beat the raid for the first time. And I don't really remember that group that much, but it was a fun experience and one that I just like to keep doing.
Yeah, I remember I have a clip on YouTube where the final encounter of Leviathan put up a large Titan wall when we were all doing the rocket strat.
Oh yeah.
Blew me up, or blew one of us up. It was definitely interesting.
Good memories there, right?
Good memories.
Don't you also have a clip of like you being the last person alive and kind of doing a hero moment type thing? Like in a different clip?
Yes, I was running Tickle Finger Warlock, and I was completely out of ammo. This was when ammo was a concern, right? And I was completely out, and I was just had Tickle Fingers on, and was able to take it down like the last second there.
Yeah, I was trying to watch that clip back. I don't know what happened because a lot of us even jumped off that last platform, so it's not like he got us there. But all of a sudden, it's like Guardian down, Guardian down. I guess I was in that group too. I saw myself die. I don't remember it again, but then you were still alive, and then you somehow got it done. He had a sliver left, and we were all dead, and you got it done.
Yeah, that was a fantastic moment.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have, Kevin, any like favorite raids? You don't have to like rank them all or whatever, but like any that come top to mind of ones that you like that are any type point in D2 current or the previous ones.
I never did any of the D1 raids, so I can't speak to any of those, but I've really enjoyed all of the Destiny 2 raids, and I'm probably one of the rare people out there that actually enjoyed Spire of Stars.
Yeah.
I thought the boss encounter, the mechanics in there were fun. They're a bit unforgiving, but I thought that was a really fun encounter. And there's a group of guys in my clan at the time that we would just spend the whole weekend doing that raid over and over.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, and I know that raid wasn't the most popular for the longest time, and I'm really happy that Bungie decided to have that moments of triumph where they kind of got you to do, if you were a raider at all, to kind of do all those raids, and it really brought the upswing back to that raid where more and more people were starting to appreciate it more. At least that was my experience. I was always like, I knew there was the unique people that did that raid, but I was always like, it's like a B plus A minus raider myself. I'm always like, yeah, the word on the street, no one does that raid or they don't like it, which I knew wasn't entirely true, but it was one of the less popular ones. And then when we started doing, I'm like, yeah, this is actually not bad. It is kind of fun at the end too. Of course, we're all overpowered at the end, and how we could take them down pretty easily and silly, but at least the mechanics leading up to it were pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Still,
we liked playing the Eater of Worlds raid a lot. At that time, the group of guys I played with included one guy that lived in Hawaii and another guy that lives in the Netherlands, and so for them it's a 12-hour difference. And so when we're playing as a group in the evening, we only have like an hour that we can play together. And so it was usually that we would do Spire of Stars or Eater of Worlds, because that gave us enough time to play through that, maybe even do it twice if we were playing pretty quick or something like that, versus going back and like we never did regular Leviathan. It was always Prestige Leviathan at that point, but that would take us a little longer than doing either of the raid layers. So it was usually more of a preference of, well, let's go do one of those. And so we did those a lot.
Oh yeah, good memories, and it'll be interesting to see if any of those ever come back. But yeah, well, a couple more specific questions that are like apropos to what's going on right now. There's been the interesting things with the Dares of Eternity and the New Light players. Did you ever help out at that at all, whether you lowered your light or not? But
I
look
did.
for those people.
So I went and lowered my light, and I put on a bunch of 1100 armor that I had and got out some 1100 weapons, and went in there with a whole bunch of other players like myself that had also artificially lowered their light. And so it'd be like 4 of us and one actual New Light player. So I don't know that the most that I may have ever had on a team of New Light players was maybe 3.
Okay.
But I think even on that one, they dropped out like after the first encounter. So pretty much every time that I went in there, it was other players lowering their light, and then once they get in there, they'd put all their proper gear back on. And
yeah,
I don't think
I heard about that.
the New Light players even really knew what was going on, because everybody else is just running around obliterating things.
Now, this is probably a dumb question for me. I should know the answer, but I thought it would just be random matchmaking. Does it actually match people based on their light level with other similar people?
Yes.
Okay. I should have known that. So that's obviously why, I had to assume when I heard about people were dropping their power level to do that. Interesting. Yeah. And now, of course, we know that they've, in the latest patch notes, they lowered the power level down to, didn't they lower it down to?
Yeah, it went from 1150 down to 1100. So
okay,
it's not as a horrible experience for those new players as it was.
Well, I need to hop in. I haven't even played Dares once since they've also did that emblem, so I need to hop in sometime soon to play it some more and get that. But that is cool to hear your story, and I was just curious if you had done that at all. And then
and you can get the emblem for just doing any. You don't even have to drop your light, if I understand correct.
Correct. I think you're right on that. It's interesting. I didn't think they would come out with a patch this quick, because they're announcing the emblem thing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, and then this last Tuesday's patch notes, that was one of the things they changed. Another current topic that has been brought up lately too. How does your vault look, Kevin? Do you have a lot in your vault?
So I did delete a couple of things today, but I'm currently my vault is currently at 448. But I do have a ton of things in my postmasters. I have 11 things in each of my postmasters. And all of my characters are full except for maybe one or two items.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling with vault space a little bit. One of the bigger parts of my vault that I'd like to be able to get rid of, but I don't feel comfortable quite with it yet, is I have a ton of Sunset Masterworked armor, but I can't delete any of it because if I do, I'm just throwing away the materials because I'm already at max level on glow sticks and golf balls.
Mm-hmm.
So if I delete any of that, I'm just throwing that away. And when you delete a regular masterworked item, it rewards you 6 glow sticks, I believe. And I have enough that it's like maybe 200 glow sticks that I'd be throwing away, which is 20 golf balls that I'd be throwing away, which I don't want to do that. And also not knowing maybe what exactly the economy and costs might be like for weapon crafting or something like that. I certainly don't want to go toss away a whole bunch of materials and then find out that, oh, these are going to be a big part of Witch Queen.
Yeah.
That's the hoarding man's problem right there.
Yeah. Well, yes, it is a first world Destiny problem for sure.
It is, right? But it also sounds like you kind of have a very detailed idea of what you're doing. You're not just throwing in random stuff that you know what I mean? You know that you have like all these things in here that, yeah, they're not necessarily useful in the game right now, but they have stuff that's useful in them.
Yeah,
that's a really interesting position to be in. There's
a lot of times I really look at the sort of economy and efficiency of the materials required to play Destiny, and the materials required to play Destiny at a higher level. And I remember when they first introduced like enhancement cores and how hard those were to come by. And then now it's like it's raining in enhancement cores. But initially they seemed so hard to come by that I was like, how are you ever going to be masterworking all this stuff when you hardly even get any of these things? So those sort of materials I tend to hoard.
Sure.
A little more, but because I've been playing for so long and I play often enough, I've never been at a state where I haven't had a material that I needed for something. Like I've never had to go out specifically and be like, oh, I need to go farm materials on the moon or something like that because I don't have enough of whatever those things are to be able to buy something else.
Yeah. What are they on the moon? I don't even know right now. Oh man.
I remember playing, this was before the launch of Forsaken. I remember when they announced that, oh, you're going to actually have to use materials now for more for things in Forsaken for upgrading things. Me and a couple guys just went around and we started doing loops around all the locations with opening up the boxes and grabbing all the materials, and we did that, and I haven't really had to do that since.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling. I've been talking about this similar topic with some other people, and I don't know, Cyn, we haven't talked about too much where your all vaults are at. Mine's probably not half full if I had to guess.
Well, I can tell you, I got Dim up right now.
Well, I guess I should pull up Dim also.
469 out of 500. Now,
You're up
I do
best.
try to leave a little bit of space. Like I try to keep my duplicates down, and then I think recently I started, trying to keep some of the stuff that I haven't used. If it was high enough light, I would try to use it as infusion material to bring some other stuff up, because we're going to get a bunch of new stuff, right? So I want to be able to have a place to house it all if I need to store the new stuff. This other stuff that I just don't use, hand cannons in particular, thing Nation of Beasts I have in there I don't use, bunch of sniper rifles, SMGs that I don't use.
And do you think you put it in there a little more on the random side, or are they roles that you think could be good at some point?
I try to keep one of everything, or I've been trying to keep one of everything, just so I could have it if it, for whatever reason, I would need it. It was there. But the realization that there's just way too much there that I'm never going to, I'm a little bit less apt to keep it. Let's see. Here's one right here.
Where does it tell on DIM the number of the vault? Maybe I'm missing
Up
that.
at the top. If you're on the computer, up at the top.
Yeah.
Under right side at a vault, there it says some whatever out of 500. Right under your glimmer.
Right under glimmer. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have a
only
Nation
160.
Nation
Yeah.
of the Beasts in my vault, because it's like, oh, I might need a vault hand cannon at some point. But then I also have 2 waking vigils and 3 posterities, or whatever they're called. So I could probably really delete my Nation of Beasts.
Yeah, I over delete things usually, even when I'm just getting stuff out and about. So I have tons of legendary shards, and my vault's only 161. Do you know, Des, what yours is at?
I just looked. I'm at 485 out of 500.
Okay.
I'm hoping to get down to 400 by the time Witch Queen launches.
Yeah, I actually recently went through a vault purge that brought me under 400 for the first time in like 2 years. Because I realized I was keeping things. Well, I was keeping things that weren't necessary, and even though I like keeping one of everything, sort of, I was realizing I was keeping like multiple different types of kinetic hand cannons that were all 140, and it's like, why do I have, this many duplicates of this style of weapon? But now it's, of course, most of my vault is full of dawning rolls that I haven't sorted through yet, and of course my at least 20 Reed's Regrets on that hunt for the good Reed's Regret.
20 Reed's
All of my regrets.
Jesus.
You're telling me I don't need these 13 Eyes Lunas?
Probably not.
I mean, there could be at least 3 good rolls, right? Oh man,
I've got 4 of them masterworked so far.
nice.
Nice.
Why do I have so many blues in here? I'm not purposely putting blues in my vault. Did DIM do that automatically? I have like 10 or 5 to 10 blues in my vault. Just random
If you
shit.
if you accidentally hit farming mode, it'll cycle things from the postmaster into your vault.
Might have, yeah.
I think.
I have a chicken mask in my vault. This is funny. Well, do we think weapon crafting will help at all with this best case scenario with Witch Queen?
For the hoarders, no.
True. But do we think it'll do the thing where we can like pick perks within one weapon, not have to have different versions of the weapon? Or is that asking too much?
Well, there was that interview that a couple of the Bungie dev leadership did, where they talked about vault space a little bit and said, this isn't something that we can just do easily. That it's a lot harder than everybody thinks it is, of saying, let's increase everybody's vault space from 500 to 600.
And I saw the reasoning behind that too, and it was pretty interesting, the analogy that they used for it.
Yeah, they're like, this is, that we're going to build a, highway through a city, and if we want to, increase that highway from like 4 to 8 lanes, it means that we need to tear some houses down, and that's, So if we want to increase Bungie, everybody's vault size from 500 to 600 things, it means that we need to tear down some other things. So it sounds
Tear
like
down some houses.
they're saying that weapon crafting is the key to your vault not being as big, but we'll just have to wait and see exactly what the details are. It does sound like, from what the various things that I've read, that it will be a thing of that you get a weapon from the raid or something like that, and you can go and at some point later be able to pick the perks that you want on that gun. But I don't know that it's going to be something that is immediately available.
Yeah.
Like when that gun drops for you, it's not like you just have this gun and all the perks available to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
think that there's going to be some sort of thing where, like, maybe like if the gun has, say, 12 perks each in the last 2 columns, that those perks are only available to you if you've gotten a gun that has dropped with those perks. Because I also kind of figure that, how are you going to convince a player, and I'm going to single out PvP players here a little more than PvP players, but if you already have like your god roll IS Luna that you really like using, and now you get this hand cannon from an activity in Witch Queen, but it's going to require a whole bunch of work for you to play with it and upgrade it and unlock these perks to realize its potential. Are you really going to go through all that work when you already have this gun that you already love? So there's got to be something, I think, where this gun drops. When it drops for you, it's in a usable state. It just doesn't have the full potential of being able to be crafted into everything that you want at that point. And so I think, like, you can't add kill clip to it maybe until you've gotten a roll on it to drop that does have kill clip. And then you don't need to have one roll with kill clip and one roll with rampage or something like that. Once you have both of those rolls, you can craft it into whatever you want.
Yeah.
And that would fit the investment model of a looter also.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would be nice.
That's one reason why
I don't think that they're to keep you invested in playing the game. They just don't want you to be like, well, here's the gun with all the things ready to be unlocked. You never have to play this content again.
Exactly. Because that would, I mean, that's why I definitely agree that it's not going to be an immediate thing. There has to be some investment time. I mean, that is half of this game is loot and role chasing. So
yeah, I just think at some point, though, that when you get that thing to drop for you the first time, that it has to be in a somewhat usable state, that you're going to use that weapon for a bit to decide if you want to keep using it. Because otherwise there's no reason for you not to just keep using your IS Luna and Duality or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it could be interesting if we can potentially hear more about this anywhere between 1 week to 5 weeks from now.
Yep.
And we're going to get real soon into TWAB and talk about the trailer. I don't know if you all have any other questions for Kevin. I do want to back up real quick and just ask what you do, if you don't mind telling us, and where you live. And then I have some other interesting questions to go along with that.
I live in Colorado, and I manage a design system for the place that I work at. So I make sure that all of the internet things that we do follow our branding guidelines, follow our visual guidelines, look nice, are accessible, easy for people to use.
Right on. So you live in Colorado. Colorado's a nice place. I've been through there a bit. I live in Utah, so not too far away from you. I'm in the Salt Lake area. Another great community member, shout out Elmer Fudd, lives in Colorado.
Double M, double D.
Yeah, double D. You like Colorado? Do you have any other places, if you had your choice, where you could live in the world?
So as I stated before, I was born in California, lived in California until I was 8 before we moved out here to Colorado. And so I've lived out here in Colorado since '82.
Okay. Yeah.
And there were some times growing up that my family looked into moving back to California, but by that point things started getting a lot more expensive. And it was like when I was a senior in high school, we were thinking of moving back to California for a bit. My dad had a job offer at a place out there, but they were only guaranteeing the job for a couple of years. And so we decided that the risk wasn't necessarily worth it for trying to move out there and then getting a house that wasn't even as nice as the house that we had here in Colorado. So we decided to stay here in Colorado. And
yeah, well,
and,
it's a nice
now
place,
looking
sure.
back on it, Colorado's a pretty nice place to live. We have I'm not really into the snow and cold, but it's not horrible. It's not like the snowstorms that you hear of, like the Midwest or the upper Northeast or something like that. We don't have like lake effect snow. We don't have really bad humidity like you do out on the east or down in the south. We don't have the heat necessarily from like Las Vegas or Arizona. So weather-wise, I'd say the only, and it's not really a bad thing, it's just maybe an unfortunate thing, is that we have really short falls. It seems that we go from these long summers and then you get like 2 weeks of fall where the leaves start changing to their orange and red colors, and it looks really pretty out here. And then we get some early snowstorm that just comes in and it just makes everything fall off the trees, and then you're just like in winter. And
I hear you.
so it's just kind of but we also don't have earthquakes, we don't have hurricanes. We do have tornadoes every now and then, but the worst ones are further east from where I'm at. So there's not a whole lot of weather things that we worry about either.
Yeah, Colorado is interesting in that area east of Denver. It's like you finish the mountains and you get a little further east, and it kind of turns to the Midwest where you can get the hurricanes, right? I mean, the tornadoes.
I will say the only bad thing, and you may have seen this in the news a couple weeks ago, but Colorado has had a lot of wildfires.
Oh, sure.
Over the past 10 years, and the New Year's Eve, Colorado suffered its most destructive wildfire to date, where we had just a little over 1,000 homes, not just structures, but actual homes burned on New Year's Eve. There's a fire that started in on the west side of some Denver suburbs, and it was really, really windy that day. We had reports of 100-mile-an-hour winds out near Boulder, Colorado, and it just got those flames going, and it burned down a lot of homes, and really
sorry to hear that.
It impacted a big area. And this is just a long string in the latest of most destructive wildfires in Colorado. My parents almost lost their home in what was then the most destructive wildfire in Colorado at the Waldo Canyon fire in Colorado Springs that burned something like 350 homes or something like that. That was followed a year or two later by the Black Canyon fire, which is near where my sister lives, which was 450 or 480 homes. And unfortunately, that part's just been getting worse and worse as we hadn't had any snowfall this year, any measurable snowfall since the spring. So it was just really dry, and it was just a tinderbox waiting to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, but I know it's a beautiful state. A lot of beautiful mountains out there. Colorado, Utah, we have some of that too. So I'm familiar with the area. And then what other like hobbies or things do you like to do? I think I heard you like to create some music.
Yeah, so when I was younger, for some reason, I guess maybe I'd mentioned something about learning a musical instrument, or my parents had thought it was a good idea or something like that. But I started taking some music lessons when I was in elementary school, and so by the time I got into junior high school, I played in the junior high school bands, and then in high school played in the high school bands and the marching band and the pep band and jazz band and things like that. But at some point I started getting more interested in electronic music because I wasn't really a very good musician, but I liked the idea of being able to make what I considered more interesting sounds than I could with the instruments that I could play, and I could do things that were not just limited by my capabilities or just that I was a single person. And so I started collecting keyboards and samplers and drum machines and started making different sorts of electronic music. At the time, that was when I first started out, was more of like a synth pop sort of thing that you could maybe relate to Depeche Mode or Pet Shop Boys or Erasure or something like that. And then later on started turning more to things where I was really inspired by the rave scene. So something more like trance, techno, breakbeat, and things like that. And that's mostly what I still do, but it's really more of a hobby that there's times that I've worked on it for a couple of years and then I take a break from it for a couple of years and don't do it at all, and then come back, work on it for a little bit, and then take a break again, then come back and do something different.
Right on. Well, if you have any stuff you want us to listen to, I'm definitely up for it. Just let us know.
Sure.
Interested in hearing some of that. Yeah. Well, thanks for letting us bug you with so many questions. Let's talk some more about Destiny news. So we had a trailer this week. Came out Tuesday, right? Was that when it came out?
Yeah, reset.
Tuesday morning. Yeah, reset. And this one is titled Savathun's Throne World. Thoughts? I mean, of course, awesome trailer as always. I'm looking through it again right here. I mean, I just want to mention I love Savathun throwing the Nova bomb at the very end. I know, just
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and then what's with what's with that creature at the beginning? It's kind of like dark. It looks not quite like an ogre. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to pause right here.
What got me, and it's probably a little bit ahead of where you're at, is the creepy hive that the hand moved.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting. I looked over that. I looked at that scene a couple times.
This creature looks almost like a Cabal head, but it has like this really big, bulky body that looks like a hive type something.
You're not talking about the Callous dance video that they was on the TWAB, were you?
No, not quite. That's okay if no one else knows what I'm talking about or has any comments on that. But no,
my head is
any-
around larger things.
and of course there's the Savathun with what, duplicates of herself or some other. I didn't quite pause to see if it was her, but like two other creatures with moth wings also. That part of the trailer. Yeah, it was her,
hers.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that was pretty wild.
I think someone aptly described her essentially as the Loki of Destiny.
Right? Yeah.
Which I mean is incredibly accurate.
It's just more hype, and then of course they were talking about people were finding what elements in the trailer. What was their mercury, sulfur,
and salt,
and
which no, by today's standard, isn't an actual element. But those three elements were the literal building blocks of alchemy in medieval times. To the effect, I mean, I'm sure the information is like way out there by now with so many people explaining it. But it was a tria prima in alchemy, and they're basically the three building blocks of everything concerning life, essentially. So
yeah, and they're just mixing those little things in. Yeah, Kevin, I don't know if you have any comments on the trailer, but there's sure a lot of hype with it.
Yeah, I mean, the Destiny trailers are always great at that. Their trailer team is one of the best in the gaming business, I think, and it always gets the community hyped up. So
yeah,
I'm ready for the game, but honestly, I also don't need another trailer at this point. I'm just, if I could
just bring it,
just have the game. At this point, I want to hear more other sorts of details, but I don't want to necessarily see any more story or gameplay details, because I do want to be surprised by some of that stuff too. And I know that they do a really good job of not revealing too many of those things. Like, when Shadowkeep came out, none of us knew that we were going to walk around that corner and see the pyramid ship. But it was anyway. Through all the reveals that we had over that summer, none of us knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, I know. So, no, it is interesting, and you kind of wonder, like, why did they decide today? We're still more than a month out, and I mean, I'm not complaining. I mean, Tuesday when I said today, but what made them come out with the trailer now? I mean, they're ramping back up. We're finished with kind of the holiday breaks, and information starting to come out, and it's good. And speaking of other information, I guess let's get into the TWAB, because we are starting to get some information about Witch Queen.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, TWAB, the first TWAB in what, 4 weeks? Something
3
like
or
that?
4 weeks, yeah.
First TWAB in 5 years.
5 years.
For the first time
where's
in
our
forever.
Bring us TWAB, Bungie. Des, what do we have in the TWAB? Nothing too much, right? Nothing important. We can just go to the cat links.
Cat links.
Which, yes, there are 2 cat links. Also, kind of a milestone. Also, this is the first TWAB written by one of our new community people, Hippie, who was introduced late November, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Was that late November? I think so. But yeah, one of the new community. I don't think she has the same role as community manager, but she's part of the community team. Either way, I think that, if I remember right, is a she. If it's not a she, oops. But this is a TWAB by Hippie, which is definitely carrying Cosmos' legacy of cats.
And double the pleasure.
Right. But we are getting some teases. Of course, they talk about the trailer and again a bunch of alchemy stuff, which blah blah. Well, I mean, not. But they do give us a preview, a bit of a preview coming in Witch Queen. They're updating the artifact mods. Huzzah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are changing how they work. Sort of. I guess the big takeaway is the fact that persistent enough players of Destiny will be fully capable of unlocking all artifact mods. You are no longer limited to the small selection of 12, 13 out of the entire set. I guess the negative to the caveat is the first 12 unlocks of a artifact mod will stay about the same pace as they are now, but they are reworking or working how much XP will be needed to unlock further. And again, the end goal will be you will be fully capable of unlocking every single mod in the artifact for use. It's fantastic.
I'll be curious to see what those
How much
later
work.
ones
Right.
really
It's going to be
are.
rough.
And this, I'll make a shout out here to Sneaky Beaver, who has one of the probably one of the better strategies for raising that seasonal artifact level that he does all the time, of just doing this for like a hour every time he plays. He just has this loop that he goes and does, and it is an insane way of boosting that power. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the first people that has all of them unlocked.
Yeah, writing down that name. And I'm sure
Mr. Not Bounty Hoarding.
We have some people in our community that like doing that to a somewhat level, but it'll be interesting to see, also once people start playing with these in Witch Queen, and inevitably we'll be getting the news, the articles, the YouTube videos of what the better ones are more than others. So I look forward to hitting it hard, but then also taking my time for the further ones and seeing, okay, someone just tell me what are the good ones to get, and then I'll work towards those ones first.
Yes, the path progression ones. Or I guess optimal path progression. There we go. But they do mention that a lot of they are bringing back a lot of, I guess, favored anti-champion mods, anti-barrier scouts and bows.
I don't know anybody that liked anti-barrier bows.
I mean, I know a few bow users. So,
I know lots of bow users, but I don't know anybody that liked them as an anti-barrier weapon. I think everybody loves them as an anti-overload weapon.
Yes,
but in terms of I don't know anybody that liked it the previous time that they were a anti-barrier weapon.
Right.
Well, we have it, but I guess I'll probably be rocking Scout more so myself.
But the good news is they will also be working on the overload mechanic for their stun to make it more reliable. So that's probably the better news out of that, to be honest.
Yep.
And auto rifle, so that'll be easy, especially if it's works better.
It's basically the inverse of what we have now, right, Des? Auto rifle, anti-barrier now, and overload bow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we currently have, I think, anti-overload autos and SMGs. Maybe they mentioned it can be done. But yeah, using. I mean, I've noticed, again, I just find it way more to either use a sword and using disrupting blade, or using overload bow and like Trinity Gold, which gives you technically 3 hits per shot, so can almost guarantee a stun with a 1 pull, which is nice. But yes, hopefully they'll make this far more consistent and feel better when it comes to overload auto rifle, because that's kind of dismal right now.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking of that the teleporting captain that's on the master level of the new dungeon
God.
in the servitor
Yeah.
encounter, that he teleports around so quickly that I just always go into that encounter with a sword, because it's easier just to chase him down and start swinging than it is
Yeah.
to try to aim a bow at him and hit him, because he's teleported to the other side of the room or behind a wall or something like that by the time I get a bow aimed at him.
Yeah.
Let's see. The next thing they talk about is something that we've already heard about before. And that is they are taking orb generation off of weapons. It will no longer be a trait for masterwork weapons to generate orbs of power on multi-kills. And they're going to be creating a suite of mods that will be unlocked for everyone, like on release. And they do mention that they will be helmet mods, and apparently these helmet mods will work for particular element weapons. So there's that.
And they could work for even weapons, exotics that don't have a catalyst, right? Yeah.
Yes. So the way they worded this in the TWAB, it makes me wonder if we're not going to be able to generate orbs with kinetic weapons, because they do mention matching elements.
I think there's I heard somebody say that there's a separate mod for that.
Okay.
Yeah, because too. Separate
but
mod.
they will. These mods do work on. The reason why I was questioning, because the mods will work on whatever active element the weapon is currently dealing. So weapons like hard light and kinetic weapons with osmosis will still be able to benefit from an elemental orb generating mod. So that's cool. That's built in. And huzzah, hooray! One nifty bit of what's it called? Crap. No, it's a particular type of whatever. A nifty thing that they are adding with Witch Queen is if you have a piece of armor that is fully masterworked, they are reducing the cost of changing that armor's weapon or armor's element. A legendary piece of armor, fully masterworked, you will be able to change its element for 10,000 glimmer and an upgrade module. An exotic will be 20,000 glimmer and an upgrade module. However, this caveat is that if that armor is non-masterworked, prices do not change to switch. So they're actually giving us, they're actually giving us a benefit to masterworking armor.
I mean, yeah, I'll start using more golf balls.
And actually, this does, to a degree, this little quality of life. There we go, quality of life thing will help with vault space. Because, I mean, if changing an element on a piece of armor is going to be so cheap, then you actually won't need to keep multiple elements of masterworked armor. You can just swap.
Right.
Yeah, you'd still have to then change the mods that you want. Some people might find it easier having a separate set, but I get what you're saying. You know.
So,
it won't be a necessity.
I was excited about about this at first, and I'm still pretty excited that this was one of the things that frustrated me as somebody that has a lot of items and a lot of armor in their vault, is that, especially when we have some mods that only work on some types of energy affinities.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what if you did the wrong one? Oh, I should have done that as arc instead of solar or something like that. And so I am happy that it's not going to be the cost that it used to be, especially for an exotic. That 3 golf balls for that was a crazy cost. And I always thought for new players that are coming into Destiny and are earning their materials, and they masterwork something for the first time, and then they're just like, and then they go out and see one of Fallout's videos. It's like, hey, you need to be using Powerful Friends and Radiant Light, and you're like, oh damn it, I just masterworked this as Void. I guess now what do I do? Oh, it's going to cost me all that stuff again, and nobody wants to hear that. So I like that standpoint of it, but I think the other side here is that they needed to do this because it goes back to the first thing about the orb generation. So those orb mods are helmet mods, and they don't spell this out exactly, but I think what we're going to see is that if you want to run a void weapon and create orbs with your void weapon, you need to put it on a void helmet.
I'm actually assuming the exact same thing.
And so, if you have your great, masterworked helmet, but you need to run, and it's arc, but you want to run void weapon because you're doing, whatever master lost sector or something like that has arc champions in it, and you want to be able to create orbs for yourself because you're trying to do the solo on master triumph, and you want to be able to get back your super or something like that, then you're going to possibly be needing to change the affinity of that multiple times, and asking people to spend that entire cost of upgrading it all the way each time is just going to be way too unreasonable.
Exactly.
But as I've been thinking about this more, so think back to before Shadowkeep came out. Remember, there's that one time that they're like, hey, Guardians are getting too powerful. Remember how many orbs and how much super regeneration we used to get from from the skull of Diram Kar or whatever, and Orpheus rigs that you get back so much energy.
Nova bomb. A few seconds later, another Nova bomb.
You're just so much. And so they're like, hey, you know what? You're making too much super energy for yourself. Where super energy should be coming from is from your teammates. And your teammates making orbs that then you pick up. Which is like, okay, fine. But now they're saying, hey, you know what? Your teammates might be making too much orbs too. Because now you're in a place where, at least when I'm running higher level PvE content, I am usually running 2 ammo finder mods. I usually run one for whatever heavy weapon I'm using and one for whatever special weapon I'm using. So like right now, it's a lot of, maybe I'm running a fusion ammo finder, and if I want to, bring Gallahorn into something, then running a rocket launcher ammo finder. So if I want to be creating orbs with a weapon, that means I have to lose one of those.
Yep.
And right now, there's not, even with running those mods, ammo drops are so inconsistent that I can go through like a whole thing of content and not like I can go through a whole nightfall and get like 1 brick of heavy to drop, and then I'll run it through again and I'm swimming in it. So I'm really hoping that whatever they do here, that it's like, what does it matter that I can create orbs if I don't have any ammo that I can actually use to make said orbs?
Right.
Well, one benefit of that, or at least for higher end content, is the rise in popularity of the Aeon cult exotics.
Yes,
Considering
but,
one of their
but that
one of their side,
requires one person on your team to make it, and it creates ammo for the rest of your team, but not for yourself.
well, I mean, so I mean, it does help. But yeah, one of the benefits of Aeon Cult finishing a champion basically generates heavy. So which requires some half decent coordination anyway. To not utterly sometimes annihilate said champion. But no, there's definitely still an issue with ammo and even ammo finders in general. That could definitely use a tweaking, or at least not even a tweaking to make it more, but just a tweaking to make it more consistent would be nice.
Yeah, if it is more consistent, that'd be great. So
exactly.
So there's been some other conversations going around today. There's a tweet from Kujay who said something like, "Hey, wait a minute. If you think back to some of these conversations that we've had with some Bungie devs last year, where, you know, if you remember, we saw some of the developers at Bungie have some high-profile appearances on some things like the Fireline Line podcast and things like that, where they were maybe a little more transparent about things than we've seen in years. And one of the things that came out of that was that weapons sort of have this finite limit of, you know, things that it can do. And by removing orb generation from the weapons and putting it onto something else, it opens up space on that weapon to do something else. And so he's like, hey, you know, there may be some other things that are coming. And so then you start seeing actual Bungie developers like KevinOSX actually retweeting this. And one of the things that also came out recently in either a talk or an interview was like, hey, you know what? We have these different foundries of weapons. Like we have Suros weapons, but what does it really mean that you have a Suros weapon? And sort of maybe these hints is like, hey, if we're going to have these weapon foundries, maybe that actually means something on the weapon's performance. That like maybe a Suros weapon has this one kind of perk and an Amalon weapon has this other kind of perk. And maybe these are the sort of things that we're going to see coming, that we're going to have expanded perks on these weapons that didn't exist before, because they had said that if you just keep adding things to the guns, it breaks the game. And like not like, oh, the game's like OP kind of broken, but no, the game becomes unplayable because the game breaks.
Where Telesto becomes sentient and deletes everything.
Telesto.
No, yes, exactly. Which hilariously, one thing I've always thought was foundries for D2 have always been 3 steps backwards. I loved how they introduced weapon foundries in D1, because they actually did matter. Like,
this is the thing as a Borderlands player coming into Destiny, I always thought was weird, because in Borderlands it's like, if you know, one type, the bandit type of weapons had like a really fast reload speed, there's always a plus and a minus. Like the bandit weapons had a really fast, or the bandit weapons had really large magazines but very low stability. And another weapon would have very high stability but a very slow reload speed. And another weapon, there's always all these trade-offs, but it was specific to the weapon foundries, that if you knew that if you were getting this specific brand of weapon, that this was a trait, or, you know, 2 traits that it was always going to have. And so coming into Destiny, it always seemed that was something that I never really saw all that much. I mean, it seems that the only place that maybe you really see this is like Feist scout rifles are always
Rapid fire. Yeah.
auto fire or
Yeah.
and Avalon sidearms are always or the Soros sidearms are always auto fire and things like that. So maybe we'll start seeing some more foundry defining perks these weapons in the future.
That would be fantastic because, like I was saying, back in D1, they actually had different tree configurations for, like, I mean, it was just so hilarious because they had it, I thought, with the introduction of foundries, Arms Day. I feel like they really had it nailed down during the end of D1. But yeah, D2 comes around and a lot of, I mean, it was kind of there in early D2. Haka rocket launchers were precision, so they always tracked. Very, simple things. Omelons didn't have kinetic weapons, so on and so forth. But it, like I said, it always felt like 3 steps back from where it was. And if they can do something just to differentiate, to make that tag matter again, because hilariously, in D2, it's even more visible what foundry a weapon comes from. That's like the new kinetic shotgun for the 30th anniversary, the Outlander shotgun. It's the first Tex Mechanica legendary weapon. But what does that matter other than the fact that it has a flourish whenever you reload it? And that's, to be fair, kind of Tex Mechanica's basic thing. But yeah, we need more.
This all sounds exciting to me. I'm not the weapons nerd, but like still what you all are saying, I'm all for it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, make foundries great again. God.
Well, that's definitely a possibility, and hopefully we'll hear more about that soon.
Well, and
what else?
there's a lot of I don't know if necessarily you want to call it outrage, but a lot of people just blowing up to this saying, "Oh my goodness, this mod change is not what we asked for." Saying, "Hey, we wanted to be able to generate orbs with weapons that didn't have masterworks. Like there's some exotics, like say Jotun, for example, it doesn't have a catalyst, so you can't masterwork it. I want to be able to create orbs because I really like using the toaster." Yeah, but they're like, "Oh no, not this. This isn't what we were talking about." And, now you're impacting your helmet mod is already sort of busy with other things. Like I said earlier, when I'm running PvE content, I'm usually running multiple ammo finders. And when I'm running PvP, I'm usually running multiple targeting mods. And so now if I want to be creating orbs for me and my fire team, it means I'm giving one of those slots up. So people are all freaking out about this. And then they come back out and they're like, well, wait a minute. This is just part of the puzzle. And there's another part of this that is going to make all of this is going to make sense when you hear about this other part.
I almost feel like Bungie does this purposely now. How many times in the past several seasons have they come out with almost like what could be considered the bad news, quote unquote, first? And then like as the weeks go on, as they release more information. And then like
I don't know.
The picture.
I don't know why they would do this to themselves.
And this isn't even bad news, but you get what I'm saying. Like
within the work that I do at my real job, there's a lot of marketing and public relations that we have to do, and there's a lot of times that when I see this, I'm like, why would you make a decision like this to announce this only half part of this change and then force yourself to have to deal with some community outrage if you knew that you had this other thing that was going to help make it all make sense. Because if you remember, there is a thing not too long ago where they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to be making a change to the drop mag perk, but we aren't going to tell you what it is yet because there's this other thing coming, and then then it all makes sense. I don't know why they just didn't do that here.
Oh, that's interesting.
And everybody would have been like, oh, okay, this is great, because there's probably a little overreaction going on because we only know half of what this is. Like, I've heard various suggestions of saying, hey, you know what, the ammo finder thing doesn't need to be a thing anymore because they're just going to make it an intrinsic thing that if you have on a grenade launcher, you automatically have grenade launcher finder, or maybe that they'd move the finders off maybe onto your Ghost. Who know? I don't know. Who knows?
Actually, that would be interesting.
But there's just enough that we don't know right now.
Yeah.
That is just leading people to speculate. And I think we tend to speculate in the negative directions of the towards what we fear rather than what we hope. And so hopefully this other half is going to come out in the weapon update that's supposed to be next week.
The Destiny community? Negative? No.
Never.
Oh, only a little salt.
Cyn's salty, right? All the time. Hey, real quick, because I think I saw some news. Live updates, Cyn.
Oh, the DSC is done. We just finished
the raid.
Yeah. I was just saying in chat, it's a little chaotic being off mic, but taking roles where you don't need to talk as much, like the suppressor role, wasn't too bad. And I did ad clear in the light room in the battery phase. And it didn't go too bad. So not being bad off mic.
Nice. Well, this is... Oh, go ahead, Des. Yeah.
I was about to say,
we've been having,
just before we move off this block of text here, here at the very bottom, they do mention, of course, because it goes back to the orb generation. They do mention that, you'll be able to use exotics that don't have catalysts to be capable of making orbs. Now, they give what feels like a very specific list of exotics here. That I'm wondering.
Pretty wild too.
Well, and I think that we know of catalysts that are in the database already from the people that look through the changes that come out when the API changes, and so we know that there's catalysts out there for things already, and so.
Well, I was going to say
this is a pretty specific list.
But also I've actually went down that rabbit hole before, which there are some that do seem to be planned to happen and to be introduced, because I think some of them do have effects, but a lot of them are dummied. They're just kind of there because they have no listed effects. They have no listed anything, and their icon doesn't even match their weapon. But no, this. Why mention these 4 exotics? Cloudstrike, Thorn, Thunderlord, and Taraba.
And Thorn doing orbs of light.
I know, right?
I guess we know that those weapons aren't going to be getting a catalyst anytime soon.
Maybe that's all it is, but Thorn doing orbs of light.
But this also does confirm that, yes, kinetic weapons will make orbs of light, because they do mention Thorn, which is a kinetic weapon. So there's that. They do at least somewhat confirm, like I said, kinetics capable of making orbs of light through these mods. So that's nice. But yeah, no, that just really, it's in made my senses tingle, whenever I read this very specific list of exotics. And it's like,
We'll put a pin in that and see. Yeah,
right?
Bookmark it for later.
Right. See, other than that giant block of text, They do confirm the 30th anniversary content is not leaving with Witch Queen. It is technically not seasonal content. It will stick around. They don't know exactly when. There's, I guess, talking and deliberating about when it will go away. But they do mention expect to enjoy the Xur-led adventures through 2022.
I think there were already some hints that it was going through the summer, but
Yeah.
this is the first word that I've heard that it's going longer than that, because there was the thing with the Nerf Gallahorn, where in
Yeah.
the Bungie rewards it listed that you had the opportunity to earn the reward to be able to purchase that through, I think it was July or August.
Oh, that's
And-
smart. Yeah.
And
yeah.
so if to get the Gallahorn, that means that you have to do the dungeon. And if you have up until say August 1st to be able to do that, that means the dungeon's sticking around till August 1st.
Exactly. Or else we'll have something.
But at least
there.
now we see that it's sticking
Yep.
around through the end of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of
very
course,
smart.
Prime Gaming apparently is going to be changing up.
Then you like that emote? The guy holding the two.
Actually,
Air traffic control little flares or whatever.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I already
Actually-
did it. It was available yesterday, I think. Sorry, Des, go ahead.
Oh no, I was about to say I don't think I have that emote, which I just recently recovered my actual Amazon account. Huzzah!
Nice.
I forgot my password,
Uh-oh.
and I had to answer a security question. It's like, what's the expiration date for this card? I'm like, I don't even have that card anymore.
What's your
What the crap?
cat's mother's birth date?
Right. So I ended up making like a fake Amazon account, like order a few things, but I now have my Amazon account, and it had been so long. I was able to get sign up for the free Prime, so yeah, fantastic.
Nice.
So I now have a okay, what was the last one?
I don't remember the last one.
Oh, it was some weapon. Oh no, it was Queensbreaker. That's right.
Okay.
So yeah, I now have a 1330 Queensbreaker.
Nice.
All right.
yeah. I remember that.
My other one sitting in the vault was 1100.
Quick infusion material.
I don't know anybody that uses Queensbreaker anymore, except I did see Cammy Cake's video yesterday where he uses it
Oh.
I mean, it's still a decent weapon.
in content. I mean, because there was that time that it was doing like
It was broken.
400 times aim assist or something like
Yeah.
that, because they put in like the wrong scalar value or something like that. But
Yeah, it was the marksman scope, I believe.
yeah,
that
I did
just-
see a Cammy Cakes video yesterday or a couple days ago where he's like, "Here, let me show you how to take down a champion in one shot," and he uses Queensbreaker.
Ah, nice.
I don't know that he actually uses it for taking down the champion one shot, but he's like, I'm going to use this. And he actually really likes using the gun for PvE content, I guess. Other than that, I haven't heard anybody using Queensbreaker ever since they fixed the mistake with it. Because it used to be the Gambit invade weapon.
Yeah,
Right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you aim for their navel, you get a headshot. It was fantastic. It was wonderfully broken. But no, actually, I think I remember it wasn't super long ago. I mean, it was a while ago, but yeah, reminding, because I had forgotten this about Queensbreaker. But it actually does make a decent PvE weapon because on a headshot, you blind enemies. That's actually pretty strong in PvE. I mean, if you headshot someone in PvP, they're dead. So, yeah, that doesn't really help. Unless they're in super, I think. I don't think I could one-shot supers in marksman scope. Maybe combat. Not certain. I can't remember anymore. Anyway, but yeah, it's actually surprisingly useful in PvE, or can be at least. But hey, particle deconstruction makes it good too.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I guess it's
'Cause-
good for a couple more weeks, and then nobody
Yeah,
will ever
right.
use it again.
Probably not, which is sad. There's a lot of fun exotics that I do. It gets sad that they get tossed to the wayside, but also to be fair, especially for like GMs and stuff, you don't really want the person using the fun exotics. Stop using Queensbreaker, put on your divinity. Shut up and do it. Yeah, that's a TWAB.
Yep.
Beyond, they do make a mention of something. Hang on, before the very. Oh no, never mind. Operation Save New Lights. Yeah.
Yeah, which we
already
talked
covered
about, and there's the dancing callus that Cyn loves.
It's a TikTok meme, is what they did it off of. That's why I enjoyed it so much.
Sitting on that TikTok.
And they are looking for more people to tag the Threads of Light hashtag for
Yes.
see if you can get the fashion emblem.
Yes. Yeah, they are working on the next issue of Threads, which is nice that they're not canceling it.
Oh, is that the one where people were complaining like we might just stop this?
Yeah. That's exactly that.
Okay.
So it is nice that they aren't stopping it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that exact if you don't act right, we will turn this car around moment.
Come on, community. Yep. Well, that was definitely still a very exciting TWAB with that news. And like I said, we'll probably have a lot more exciting things coming out in the next few weeks.
Especially if that weapons TWAB is next week. That'd be nice. That's right up my alley.
And how many weeks do we have now? Let me pull up the calendar here.
What was it, 5? 6?
5, I think.
5 or 6? 5, 6, 4, 3, 2. Next week. Actually,
8,
we are
7, 5.
That's right. No, we are surprisingly close though.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like once New Year happened, I realized like we're like about a month away. Oh God. It's like it's so close. I can taste
Might be 6 if I'm counting right.
I need to stop procrastinating and finish out the freaking the actual seasonal stuff. I still need like Shattered Realms and crap.
Oh yeah.
I need to do this solo one. Speaking of,
yeah, I still need like. Probably not. Because I still need like I still need the legendary alignment and like every legendary Shattered Realm. I've been procrastinating, and now I'm running out of time. I've got 5 weeks. Oh God, why do I do this to myself?
Well, if you need any help with any team up stuff, I'll join you. I've been.
Oh, I'll definitely be posting.
Yeah, I've been trying some other games, but whenever someone needs a team up for like a legend activity or raid, I'm around still. Even though I've been a little bit less in Destiny lately.
Yeah, same.
But it doesn't mean we don't love the game. For sure.
Been keeping up with that Book of Boba Fett.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's talk real quick. I do want to. Sometimes we talk a little bit about shows, also, Kevin, and I'm curious if anyone has any standout. I'll just go first, real quick. I'm sure I want to hear about Book of Boba Fett, but I watched the latest new season of Dexter: New Blood, and Dexter was a very interesting show. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people hated the very, very ending. It was just a small part, but they really redeemed the show and added to that ending and brought it into this new season. And this new season, everyone's been saying like this was way better than we've ever hoped for or expected. And it's generally had very positive reviews. I've loved the season, so I give it a 2 thumbs up.
That's good. Good. Having never watched Dexter and being like the outsider looking in, that's the exact thing I hear about fans of Dexter. Is the fact that it was a great show until like the end.
Oh, but now it's
like one
now
moment.
The end. I know, and now the ending is perfectly fine. In fact, if anything, they brilliantly tie that in the new season. So, yeah.
Nice,
I don't know
nice.
how they did it, but they did a really good job.
It's good.
They had a lot of time to think about it. They're like, we got to fix this.
Right? It's like, oh god, what do we do?
What else is good out there, or anything you all have been watching?
I saw the. Go ahead, Des.
I was about to say, I also just this week new to Disney Plus is the Eternals.
It's on my
Yes,
list.
I saw that. I saw it in theaters, but it's good. I want to watch it again.
I mean, I don't know certain individuals' problems with Eternals. Gator. That was a good movie. That was a really good movie. I mean, and don't go into Eternals expecting the current Marvel formula.
Gator.
Like go into Eternals expecting like almost Iron Man 1. You know, it's like an earlier MCU feel of movie because they're really introducing a lot of concepts. Really. This is like our first look into the grander cosmic scale of Marvel beyond the Infinity Stones even. So very nice.
Nice. Cyn?
There's a movie on Netflix that the wife wanted to watch the other day, within the last week, with Sandra Bullock.
Oh yeah. What's that called?
Uh-huh.
Where she's like released from. Isn't the idea she's like released from prison or something from a crime or something?
Yes, it's called The Unforgivable.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And yes, but you find out at the end, like it all comes full circle at the end, and they kind of wrap up the story of like why she was like you thought one way throughout the whole movie, and they kind of lead you down the path that it was actually something else of why she was in there. But it was good.
Good.
I enjoyed it. I'll give it a solid, high 7, maybe even an 8 in that regards. Just for enjoyment factor on it alone, I think it was well done.
Nice. Kevin, anything pique your interest? You watch any TV shows or movies that have been interesting?
My wife and I watch very little TV and other things. Movies is something that we probably miss most from the pandemic. Is that was sort of our date night thing that we would do is go out and see a movie, and we live close by to a Dolby theater and an IMAX theater, and so whatever movie we went and saw, it was always at one of those theaters, and so it's been a little disappointing as some movies have come out that I would have loved to see in those theaters, but there's no way I'm going to go sit in a movie theater now. So like when Dune came out or the new Matrix movie, we would have liked to see in the theater, but instead we watched it at home. So
yeah.
But during this time, we decided maybe about a year and a half ago, we decided to start watching Supernatural, which I learned was 15 seasons long. Oof. And we watched that all the time, and we're still not done with that. But we're now finally on like season 14. So the end is in sight for Supernatural, and we'll start looking for a new show soon. I think we watched a ton of anime during the first year of the pandemic, and just sort of waiting for some other things to come on. But we recently did cancel our DirecTV subscription, which I don't know why we've been paying for that for so long, because we never watch it. Because like I said, we don't watch that much TV because we're usually playing video game stuff. Like if I wasn't talking to you guys right now, I'd be either playing a video game. I'd either be playing Destiny or doing some music stuff. And she's sitting here at her PC next to me, playing Cyberpunk 2077. And so,
what does she think about that?
She's playing the PC version, and we've got pretty nice PCs, but it's still kind of buggy. Like there's a thing earlier where there's a guy driving around in a car, except he didn't have a car. He was just sort of floating in the air, but there's no car around him. Or there's another guy that she showed me yesterday that his eyebrows were like floating like 1.5 feet above his head. And
That's
just,
awesome.
Wow.
yeah, really weird bugs like that. And so usually we're playing video games until it's like, all right, it's late, getting tired. Let's go lie down, and we'll put on the TV and get through, like, because I can fall asleep without issue. So we'll get like halfway through an episode of Supernatural, and then it'll be like, oh, I guess we better turn it off because I'm falling asleep. And so that's also why we're still watching Supernatural at this point.
Yeah.
But because we canceled our DirecTV service, we're also looking at getting some smaller subscriptions. So one of the things that you'd mentioned earlier was maybe getting Showtime so we could watch the new Dexter series.
Yeah.
There's a deal on AMC Plus a couple weeks ago where I got a whole year of that for $24 or something like that. So
Oh wow.
Nice.
there's a show on there that we're going to start watching called The Discovery of Witches or something like that, which looks interesting, about a story of some witches and vampires.
Nice.
But yeah, other movies that we're waiting to see come out. One that I'm probably not gonna go see in the theater if it does eventually come out this year, but I'll just have to wait and see at home, is the next Top Gun movie. That was a big movie for me when I was growing up. I was always into airplanes and things like that ever since I was really little. So when Top Gun came out, I was just so amazed with that. And
Nice.
so that'll be a movie that we'll want to see. And it's not anything else I'm necessarily remembering that's coming up, but I'm sure there's other movies that would be like, oh yeah, I guess we'll be watching that on the TV.
Yeah. No, that's cool to hear. And I hear too about gaming's my priority. I always feel like I want to watch more TV, and I have a lot of things on my list that I'm interested in, and then I'll be done for the night, getting tired. I'm like, I want to watch some. I'll go to bed. Who knows when I'll have the time? But we better start wrapping it up for this evening. But before we go, if there's any other burning things on your mind, Kevin, feel free and bring those up right now. And
I don't know. The burning thing kind of hilarious. So if you guys don't know that there's this thing on the moon landing zone, the sanctuary landing zone where Eris Morn is, that there's this little, you go and deposit 1,000 glimmer in this thing and a tire rolls out.
Oh, I was just okay. Go for it.
And you push the tire down this little ramp, and there's like 5 or 6 holes out there, and if you get 3 tires that come out, and if you get all 3 tires that land in the middle circle, you get what's called the perfect tire game, which unlocks the under pressure moon triumph, I think, in Destiny. And you can either do this yourself by putting in the 1,000 glimmer and pushing the tires, or all you have to do is just be there and witness somebody else doing it. And I guess a while ago, I found a way that I started being able to do this pretty successfully. Like I couldn't do it every time, but I was getting like 2 in there, like every time. And then I could get like, all 3 within, another few tries or something like that. And so I was always joking around saying I was offering tire game carries and things like that. If anybody needed
awesome
tire game carry, let me know. And but then after Beyond Light came out, nobody's on the moon anymore and stuff like that. Because I used to like just go over there and I'd land on the moon. I'd go and do it a few times, and I'd wait until there was other people there at that same landing zone. And then of course the Triumph pops up for them. They're just like, what? I get this, and then he'd come running over to me and start emoting, which I always thought was fun. But yeah, like I said, then Beyond Light came out. Nobody's doing stuff on the moon anymore, and I hadn't really done it anymore. But then I guess the other night, some guy on Twitter is like, "Man, I'm having a really hard time with this tire game Triumph. Does anybody remember who that guy was that used to do the tire game carries?" And and a friend of mine tags me, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, that's Kevin." And he's like, "Kevin, can you come help us out? We've been here for a while." I'm like, "Well, I'm doing some dungeon farming with some buds right now, but yeah, I'll come help you out in a little bit." And I said, "But it's been a while since I've done this."
I love it.
And
Hey, I'll tag on. I need help.
So it might take a while.
Well,
and so
Cyn claimed he could, but he didn't get it for me, so I'll definitely have to hit you up.
Well, I got it twice in a row. That night.
So I get the loadout that I like to use for this.
Okay.
And I load in there, and the guys are standing around. I'm like, all right, roll in there, and I pop the first one in. Yeah, or I pop the 1,000 glimmer, and the tire rolls out. I push it down there, it goes in the first one. I'm like, all right, well, off to a good start at least. And then I do the second one, but it actually veers off a little bit and goes into one of the outside holes. And then the third one goes down, and I push it down, and it goes right in the middle. And then it says, for some reason, even though that second one went off onto the other ones, it awards the perfect tire game. And I'm just like, what? Yeah, first try, and that second one didn't even go in. But the guy is like, I can't believe this. Kevin's sitting here thinking, oh, this might take a while. I haven't done it in forever. And he just comes in, and within 15 seconds of joining the fire team, the whole instance has the Triumph done or something like that. So it was kind of hilarious that some guy even remembered that I was doing those and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does pop if you get the third one in one of the outer rings, as long as the first two go in the middle.
My experience had always been that you had to get all three in the middle. I've never gotten the perfect tire game without having all three in the middle. But the only thing that was different from this, and I guess this is a strategy that I'd never heard about, that I'm always just doing it the way that I do it. But especially with the change that happened with Beyond Light, where sparrows stick around forever, is that they were doing this thing where you get a sparrow stuck down there in the middle one, and it helps that when you get the tire down there, that it doesn't bounce out. And because there was that sparrow down there, and like I said, you can go look on my Twitter. I posted a video of it after it happened the other night. That I don't know how it counted, but anyways, that guy got it, and his buddy got their Triumph done. He's happy. I thought it was totally hilarious that he even remembered that I was doing those. But that was fun. Yeah, other people do trials and lighthouse carries. Other people do Grandmaster Nightfall carries. Other people do raid carries. But I guess I do the tire game.
I love it. Nice. All right.
I'm watching the video now. Yep, I see it go just a little bit past the second one. Just went a little bit past off to the right of the middle. And then here's the third one.
Might have to get a link for that, Cyn. Well, speaking of, as we slowly close up shop here, again, it's been a great pleasure talking to you. Very easy to talk to. A lot of good insights you have, and I want people to, say hi to you and know who you are and everything like that. So, okay, I'm waiting, Cyn. I'm waiting.
Dessert.
Thanks.
We cannot forget the favorite dessert before we find his deets.
Thanks. Yeah. I was trying to decide, my notes. I pulled up something different here. You're right. Okay. Before we go, we like to also usually ask guests. Thanks, Cyn, for reminding me. Do you have a favorite dessert? You can go anywhere with this question that you want, that you like to eat or partake of.
There are lots of desserts that I like. I'm a big fan of fruit pies, but also not something that I can get too often. I tend to not like store-bought pies all that much, probably because my mom used to make a really good blueberry pie that you can't really get from the store too often. But one thing that my wife and I tend to have a lot of, and sometimes we base our dinner decisions around this, is what the current flavor of the day is at our local Culver's. If you don't know about Culver's, it's sort of a Midwestern fast food hamburger place whose their famous thing is that they have their burgers are called butter burgers, which I'm not totally sure exactly what that means, but they have a really good burger. They also have really good fries that happen to be crinkle cut fries, but they're also really good fries. I think that they're probably the best fast food fry. And they also serve frozen custard. And each Culver's location has a special flavor of custard each day, which is the flavor of the day. It's like this rotating set of flavors, but for each location it's different. So we have a location in our town. And so sometimes when we're thinking that we might be going out to eat instead of cooking at home, we'll be like, oh, well, let's see what's the flavor of the day at Culver's today. And sometimes, which sort of guarantees that we're going to Culver's for dinner, is when they have the chocolate eclair flavor custard, which is a vanilla custard with little sort of mini chocolate eclair pieces mixed in, and that's pretty good. They have some other flavors, like a blackberry cobbler one that's really good. But Culver's, if you're listening, I'll take a sponsorship. Their frozen custard is pretty tasty. I'll have that almost every day of the week, except for now when living here in Colorado in the winter when it gets a little cold, I don't like it as much, but during the summer it's awesome.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean. They did just build one 2 minutes from my house. So,
that's dangerous. That's dangerous.
My wife likes it more than me, but I definitely like it too. But yeah, I saw on your Twitter talking about Culver's too, so thanks for bringing that up. And speaking of, where can people find you with all your information? Feel free to shout out your Twitter handle if you want. We know your gamer tag. Tell us that again, or any interesting things about you.
KevinOSX on Twitter as well. KevinOSX is on my Bungie profile, number 5314, I think it is. That's pretty much places that I am. I don't do YouTube or Twitch or anything like that.
No, yeah. And and I know you're in our Discord too. I know you're probably in a lot, so but in case anyone wants to say hi, we always like people that listen to the show just give a shout out if you enjoyed the show. Let the guests know. Let us know. Also, Cyn gave the link here for that video. That's awesome. So I'll put that in the show notes too. The tire game.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on tonight. It's been great.
Oh, for sure.
To you. Yeah. I could talk about Destiny forever, probably.
Oh, yeah. Some would say magical.
Yep. Well, let's finish out the rest of the close out. Now, I do one piece of business real quick. We updated our Patreon a little bit beginning of the year, and details are in the announcements channel. And also the Getting Started channel has a link there. But I do want to give shout outs. We are, since I started this, not quite the beginning of the month, so this will be the shout out for this month. And anyone who joins later in the month I'll shout out beginning of February. But we have a couple Patreon members that I want to give shout outs to. We have Mr. Monkey and a new member who just joined. We have Cato. Thank you very much, Cato and Mr. Monkey.
Yes,
joining the
appreciate it. Now, Cato and I were talking the other day after he was asking about it and signed up. The biggest benefit for him is the changing the person's name.
Yes, and that includes me too. I'll honor it.
Yes.
Because Des and I can't change each other. We can't change you. You can change us. And we can change everybody else.
Yeah.
So fortunately, Kingsley has the power, but now that you've paid for it, Cato and Monkey, we got to know the names you want to be changed.
Yes.
All changes will 100% be honored.
Yes.
On my part as well. So anything crazy, wacky, go for it.
Yeah.
I'm game. Especially considering Kato has kind of been our punching bag for name changes at times. Which, for those familiar with the Discord, aka Gator Did You Rally, aka the Relic Holder guy, aka that guy. No, this guy. That's right. He was this guy.
Yeah. Awesome. No, that's excellent. Yeah, and I'll post a thing soon, probably for January again. I might as well, and we'll get those first month's things going, and then anyone who joins in the later half of the month, we'll have that for February. But what else? We have, as always, leave us a review on iTunes if you so desire. We will read out your review if you leave one on the show. So it's a way you can give a shout out for us. Des, where can people find you, good sir?
You can, of course, find me across the vast number, but you can find me across the few Discords we have within our Owl Sector network. Sure. And you can find me on Twitter at DES_Raven, which is the home of the fastest index. Za. Cyn.
They can find me in Discord, of course, next to you two lovely gents, or over on Twitter at Cyn_media. Tireless Kingsley. Where can they find you?
Yes, I am tireless. I hope to have a tire win soon. You can find me all the places as Kingsley Mac. On Twitch, I stream occasionally, mostly while I'm raiding. The one place there's an exception is my Twitter, where I am MC Kingsley.
McKingsley.
Kingsley. You can find our show in a couple different places, either on Twitter as The Guardian Hub, or our lovely website with all our links, theguardianhub.com.
Ooh, the best hub on the net.
Thank you, Cyn. Thank you, Des. And very special thanks to our guest, KevinOSX. We appreciate everyone listening this week, and we'll see you again next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
Later.